Hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, hard work, work. There you go.
Forward!
Hard work, hard work, hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's going on, High Speeds? Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey, and you're rocking with your favorite bets on the Nets First Formation Morning Sports Talk. So come on and fall in with us as we get to talking about the top topics in sports. As we know, of course, shout out to the highest topic on the bill. As you witnessed last night, all those sportsmen out there got an opportunity, a chance to witness a great culmination to what was another great week in sports. 2 tournaments in the state of Texas. Dallas, as we know, concluded with the Louisiana State University Bayou Bengals women's basketball team completing their tournament dance with a championship. And then, of course, last night, in H-Town, Houston, Texas, as they hosted the men's Final Four tournament, and what you got a chance to see the final 2 teams being San Diego State Aztecs and the UConn Huskies compete. So, of course, it was an opportunity for San Diego State to get their first championship, and it was an opportunity for UConn to solidify their name in the conversations when we talk about blue bloods in the NCAA basketball realms. And of course, when it all came down to the end, UConn was crowned victorious by the score of 76-59. With that dub, that gave UConn's men's a precedent 5 national championships in the course of 25 years. If you count them up, that's a 5-year average. Every 5 years, UConn has won a national championship in every decade over the last 30 years or 40 years, 34 years. Yeah, 30 years. I don't know what says excellence and grace even more so than that. What's good, TT? Glad to have you in formation with us this morning, man. How you doing? I hope your week is going good. 2 days in, 3 more to go. And then y'all have a whole weekend to let y'all hair down next week. So, again, what, if anything, that's what that says is excellence. 5 in 25 years. 5 under 3 different coaches. So let's talk about that for a second. 3 separate coaches have won championships at UConn. Coach Kevin Ali won in 2014. Coach Dan Hurley just won last night in 2023. And then Coach Calhoun has 3 under his belt. 3 different decades, 3 different fights. Hold on 1 second, please. Pause for the calls. Sorry about that. But getting back into it, that's 5 championships. This particular one, in grand fashion, averaging 20 points margin wins a game in their trek to get this championship. Of course, last night they won by 17 points. At one point, the game was cut down to 5 points. San Diego State going on a 9-0 run in which UConn took it on the chin, goes down, hit 3-pointer, push it back to 8, goes to get another 2 points to 10, and then open up the floodgates as they went on their own 16-9 run, putting the separation between them and the Aztecs, and basically going on to get the W for the San Diego State Aztecs. They were led by Keshad Johnson, 14 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 13 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist from Darian Trammell, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists from Lamont Butler. As we know, Lamont Butler hit the imperative shot that put them in position to even be in the championship over FAU. Additionally, Adam Seiko, 3 points, 2 rebounds, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist from Jadon Ledee. For UConn, led by Tristan Newton, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, getting 3-point field goals when they was needed the most, elevating his team. Hawkins just struggling with the flu just a couple of days ago, fighting it off, got plenty of fluids in him, what made it possible for him to be there with his team. 16 points, 4 rebounds on the night, 6 points, 3 rebounds from Naheem Allen, 3 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists from Andre Jackson Jr. Alex Caravan, 5 points, 5 rebounds, 4 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist from Donovan Clingan. Joey Katera, 6 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist. But of course, all goes to the big man in the middle, submitting himself as yet another big man in UConn University history. Adamon Sanogo, 17 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist. Technically, he averaged a double-double throughout the course of the tournament. In this tournament, UConn beat their opponents by double digits, 6 games, double digits, 20-point average, double digits, as they took care of business. What's good, Leslie? What's going on? Yes, UConn is the champs. Shout out to UConn, the Huskies. Of course, some of their top of the best alumni was in the building. Okafor, Rip Hamilton, who else? Ray Allen. Oh my goodness, like his name slips my head at this time. But some of their best and brightest over the course of the years was there. We didn't say Napier, I didn't see him, but they had representation, and they were all there representing and talking about how their team has been just that good over the course. NBA great Ray Allen discussed and talked about you go to UConn to win. You don't come there for anything else for the most part. In which, when you look at it and you kind of think about it, that's exactly what goes on, obviously, at UConn. Submitted himself, Khalil Okafor, pointing out the fact of anything like this basically should kill the conversation in reference to if UConn is a blue blood organization or not, in which any case, they're probably a blue blood. It's clear to say that they have the abilities to get it done. I don't think it's too much disrespect at this time. It's, of course, when you have people at each other's odds in, engaging people at each other's throats in reference to certain things, it just comes like that. I don't think it's a disrespect towards the LSU women. I definitely think it's a difference in opinions due to the fact that there's a in my opinion, there's a current stigma in reference to people of color or women of color, or in this case with the LSU women of color on the court, and then the women, and then uh, the other opposite side of that conversation on the Iowa State, on the Iowa Hawkeyes for players, and it's just turning into what it is. And of course, with the women from LSU winning and the nature of how the things went down, I think that's just what it is. I don't think it's necessarily hate towards them as athletes. I think it's just turning into something else completely different, and that's just my personal opinion. But in any case, in-state is the Louisiana State University women's basketball team. The Bayou Bengals are champions, and that's nothing that's going to take that away at this point. So regardless of whatever is being said to them or about them, in-state is they're going to be. They celebrated. I'm sure yesterday. They're going to at some point get a call up, potentially maybe to I don't know if they still do the White House visits for college championship teams. They're going to be there as representation for the NCAA women, and that's the end state of it. Congratulations to LSU Bayou Bengals women's on their championship. Congratulations to University of Connecticut men's basketball NCAA champions. And now every organization, every institution with a team gets to go back and retool, get ready to go again for next year. Of course, we already know, if you wasn't paying attention, Aaliyah Boston, heralded big lady in the middle for the South Carolina, has decided to forego the rest of her season and has made herself available for the WNBA draft this year. So she's going go ahead and go pro. So we'll see what it starts to look like. We see players like Caitlin Clark can make a decision, but she will be a junior this near year. So maybe she decides to stay and go. I was just saying it, Mr. Coach Richardson. Congratulations to LSU, sir. Natty Parade tomorrow. Baton Rouge. There you go. It's going down and in the BR tomorrow. So if you're in or around the Louisiana area and you can get to Baton Rouge and you want to show some love, second lining up and down all throughout Baton Rouge as they get their natty tomorrow. If I'm LSU, I'm not going to the White House. If they try to invite, I will shake my head. Jill Biden must be spoken something. And you know what, Cal? I will mess with you on that. I will sit up and go with you. I'm very sure other people might have difference of opinions, but I can agree with you on that. If there's no obvious reason to why, you know what I'm saying, and not even like I'm all for traditions, and I'm even for bucking traditions at times. But some things you just have to sit up and allow to. We had two teams engaged, and yeah, I'm not for that. If you want to give kudos and stuff like that, you as the vice president's wife, as the president's wife, can potentially go to Iowa and do that. But as far as a White House visit, that should be only for the champions in state. But people have the opportunity to do change agents and do what they want for the most part. But I'm very sure they have advisors, and the optics of that can be damning for the most part. Coach Richardson, are you going to are you pulling up? Are you going to celebrate with your brothers and sisters from the Bayou State? Get in the private FSS jet and pull up in Baton Rouge and get back to San Antonio after the parade? So, of course, like I said, shout out to all those teams. Another year down and gone. Unfortunately, all the other teams have to go back in and get it ready all over again. Those are the spoils when it comes to sports. All these organizations and teams come down to one moment in which at the end state is you have to go back and get ready to do it all again. It's interesting. Sports is interesting. Moving on, right? National Basketball Association. News came yesterday. Expect to see is Wiggins, Andrew Wiggins, will be back or is nearing getting back. Oh, hold on. Correct. It's I get it, yeah. It's just so I think the ideal is just like we talk about the platform of military basketball, Coach Cal. I think the thing is that is what's going on is there's starting to be a lot more uh, engagement in across the sports in general, in which even though some of it always isn't the best and most concise, but the ideal is that people are talking. Now they just need to home it in a little and like kind of like get with the times and stuff like that. But it's you know what I'm saying it's coming around. It's coming around, and which some people are going to start, you know what I'm saying, uh more and more when it comes just to reference just to sports, it's going to be that much sweeter. So it's coming around. People are going to come around. But again, like we can't say it enough. Congratulations. Congratulations are always in order to champions. You know what? Speaking of such, I forgot yesterday in a conversation with Colton and Coach Wayne. I forgot yesterday to shout out Moody Air Force Base as they upsetted Herbert yesterday as the number one seed, and with that, put Eglin in the driver's seat with that loss. So you're saying it's going down as we get closer and closer, ending to these conference championships. Is getting closer and closer to the end. We just at what 20, just 25 days, little less than 25 days, less than 25 days to see what's going down in San Antonio at the yeah, see, you're saying this got it done like on a buzzer beater. It was crazy too. Um, in inlet pass, a dump over the top, a pump fake, and then I'm not gonna say a desperate shot, but got up the shot just in enough time. It actually bottomed out the net just as the buzzer went off, giving them the win. I think it was 72-73. So yes, definitely shout out Moody Air Force Base. But yeah, it's getting ready. National Military Basketball Tournament getting ready to go on in April. Finish it up in April. Going into May as you get ready to get it in. The Military Basketball Association gets their continues on as their championship game will be played in Wichita, Kansas this year. So at the end Memorial Day weekend, they got it going with a bevy of events going on. So it's going to be a nice 2-3 months, 2 months, and then after that, of course, we get a couple of months before we get to wet our whistles again with some good tournament play. And then, of course, hopefully a culmination of everyone coming together to help out the military basketball community as we look to see what's going to shake, as the expectation, as we heard yesterday, is to see a military basketball squad of up and coming top players in the TBT. So that's a good thing. It's all about pushing forward those military, as I call them, the armed forces athletes, and putting them on center stage, putting them up in to compete against all those other players, as in former pros, so they can see how they stack up. So it's starting to be an exciting time for military basketball, definitely indeed. So moving on in the NBA. What's good, Anthony? What's going on, brother? Glad to have information with us this morning. So moving on, right? As I say, Andrew Wiggins is expected to come back, return to the Warriors in what is most likely just in the nick of time. Now, of course, if he doesn't, at this point, there's only a few games, 3-4 games left for the teams, in which he may not get back to do a tune-up to kind of like get him going again in the last waiting days of the NBA season, but he will most likely be back for them to continue their run and trying to defend their NBA championship. As we know, the Golden State Warriors are the defending NBA champions from last year, and until a new champion is crowned, they hold that distinction. So I ask, does this really make a difference with Andrew Wiggins coming back? Is that going to propel the Golden State Warriors back into a position to where they're a front runner still for the NBA championship? Or is it a possibility that with Andrew Wiggins being gone this amount of time, coming back, he may not be ready particularly, or he may not have have completely his mind around playing basketball, and it might do more harm than it will anything else going forth. Just not front room, but they're definitely a contender. And there you go. And I think I used the wrong choice of words, Kyle. A contender definitely in a tight West, of course. When you look at it, for the most part, starting to get a little tight. The games are still starting to come. But before we get into talking about what's going on tonight, of course, you have already 5 playoff spots clinched in the NBA Eastern Conference. Of course, we know the Bucks lead the field with 2 games over the second-seeded Boston Celtics. Currently, the Bucks 4 games remaining on their schedule. Boston, additionally, 4 games remaining on their schedule. At the third spot, the Philadelphia 76ers come in 5 games behind the Celtics, in which we know they're not going to catch them, and likely. Cleveland Cavaliers at the 4th spot. The Knicks just the other day clinched their spot at the 5. Currently, the Nets sit at the 6th seed with 2 games separation between them and the Miami Heat, who the Heat could potentially challenge them for that 6th spot, bringing them into the 7th spot. The Atlanta Hawks come in at the 8th spot, with the Raptors at the 9th spot, and last but not least, the Chicago Bulls in the 10th spot with 4 games remaining. Just 4 games ahead of the Wizards, in which all it takes is a Wizards loss and a Bulls win, in which that will sit them down for the Wizards, and the 12th seeded Magic have our opportunity. So it's getting kind of close, especially in the bottom halves. Like, it's levels to this at this point. You got the 6th seed that's being chased, the 10th seed being chased, and the 1 seed being chased in the East. But it all looks like potentially how this sits currently is how it's going to end up, with the Chicago Bulls and the Toronto Raptors playing at the 9-10 spot in the play-in, the Atlanta Hawks and the Miami Heat playing at the 7 and 8. Of course, we know the 7 and 8 winner goes on as a 7th seed. The 8th seed goes, the loser goes and plays the winner of the 9 and 10 game for that last spot as the 10th seed. So we'll see how that is. Completely different conversation going on in the West. Of course, the Nuggets and the Grizzlies have already clinched their positions in the playoffs. The Sacramento Kings not only clinched their position, but also clinched their division. Also clinched their division as the 3 seed, currently just 4 games ahead of the Suns. But ideally, that is going to remain. They're going to stay the 3 seed. So we can almost presume that with 4 games remaining, that the Grizzlies and the Nuggets will continue to battle it out for that number one spot for the most part. But when you start 4 to 12 is a different conversation. I guess you could say 4 to 12. I guess you could say not even 4 or 5. So of course, when you look at it, currently, what's good this morning, Eric? What's going on, fam? What's going on? Glad to have information this morning, brother. When you look at it, the Kings, like I said, the Nuggets, Grizzlies, and Kings sit as 1, 2, and 3 in the West. The Phoenix Suns currently at the 4th seed, just 2.5 games ahead of the Los Angeles Clippers, who are in the 5th seed. The Golden State Warriors currently hold on to the 6th seed, just tied with the Clippers actually for the at that. The Lakers come in at number 7, just a half game behind the Clippers and the Warriors. So I expect to see a possibility that the Lakers, with the win and a loss to and a loss, can jump the Clippers and put themselves in the 5th seed from the 7th spot. Now, would a team want to do that, as it was pointed out yesterday, as Colton and Coach Wayne Walcott spoke in reference to the Lakers in the 5th seed, which would put them up against a Phoenix Sun team that has not lost since they have became connected with Kevin Durant, and Kevin Durant has been winning. Assuming, like you said, Coach Cal, assuming the Lakers beat the Jazz as expected tonight, the Lakers and Clippers play each other, correct? On Wednesday, which one wants to win that game, get the 5th seed. Of course, like I said, that 5th seed will put them against the Suns. Yes, correct, Coach Cal. So no matter what, as long as the Lakers have a same or better record as the Golden State Warriors, they're going to be over the Golden State Warriors. So currently, they're at 6. The Lakers win tonight. If the Lakers win tonight, that puts them in the driver's seat. That puts them in a 6th seed. If the Warriors lose tonight, that puts the Lakers in the 6th seed. Just a game behind the Clippers, and then, like Coach Guy was saying, they play each other tomorrow night for a chance to take over the Clippers, in which maybe they don't want to. Maybe they want to stay in the 6th seed, or maybe they move up. It depends. We'll see. Additionally, of course, you behind the Lakers, however, is the New Orleans Pelicans, who are tied with them. Lakers are on the tiebreaker. So they can do some damage too. The Timberwolves come in at the 9th seed, currently a game and a half behind the Lakers and the Pelicans, and just 2 games behind the Clippers with 3 games remaining. So that could go any way. It all depends upon how the chips fall. And lastly, the Oklahoma City Thunder sit a game behind the Timberwolves, or 2 games behind, 2.5 games behind the Pelicans and the Lakers, and just 3 games behind the Warriors and the Clippers with 3 games remaining. It could come down to the wire for them. The Jazz looking kind of shaky, but there's a possibility they still have a chance, as well as the Mavericks, as the Mavericks sit just a game behind the OKC Thunder, giving them an opportunity to possibly get a win. As Coach Cal points out, last 4 games for the Pelicans, the Kings, the Grizzlies, the Knicks, and the Wolves. That's a hard gauntlet to go through, especially without their player in Zion Williamson. They could potentially, looking at what the Kings have been doing over the course of the last couple of games, they can possibly win that game. Maybe even against the Grizzlies. But it's a guy. They could possibly go 2-2 in that, 3-1, 1-3, or 0-4, and basically finish out their season. Which, of course, in my opinion, if the Pelicans fall that far from their great current position, that will potentially give an opportunity for the Mavericks, an easy chance for the Thunder and the Jazz to get into the play-in. But we'll see how that all comes out. Getting real close. Of course, the slate of games tonight, in which we have the Toronto Raptors. The Cleveland Cavaliers are hosted by the Orlando Magic. As we know, Orlando needs to continue to win in order to keep their hopes alive of potentially getting into the play-in to compete for a chance to get into the playoffs. The Miami Heat, as aforementioned, chasing the Brooklyn Nets. Hosted by the Detroit Pistons tonight. Again, team not having anything to play for except for putting daggers in playoff potential teams, as well as opening their door for the Victor Wembanyama sweepstake. I had the craziest of dreams last night. I had crazy dream last night. I had a dream. So just in case it comes to fruition, y'all heard it here first. I had a dream last night that the Los Angeles Lakers, after giving up their draft pick, the number 1 draft pick for this year, went and made a trade that put them as the number 1 seeded team for this year's draft. I had that dream last night. I don't know how that can come to fruition. Well, I do know how it can come to fruition, but I had that dream last night. So we'll see how that goes. Of course, it's not going to be that, but hey, stranger things have happened. The Toronto Raptors, hosted tonight by the Charlotte Hornets, as they continue to try, again, teams with nothing to lose except for ping pong balls or playoff aspirations. The Milwaukee Bucks face off against the Washington Wizards in Maryland tonight. The Brooklyn Nets face off against the Timberwolves, and they're on their home court. Minnesota needs W's to stay and keep pace, as well as Brooklyn. So, of course, this is a game that has some playoff implications. As stated before, the New Orleans Pelicans facing off against the Sacramento Kings. The Pelicans need this win in order to keep up with the field in the bottom half of the Western Conference standings. The Kings already solidified, and basically they're good. So we'll see how that goes. The Boston Celtics face off against the Philadelphia 76ers tonight in Philly, in which a battle of the top 2 of the top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference. If you break it down, even two of the top 5 in the NBA in general. So we'll see how that goes. The Portland Trailblazers already eliminated from playoff contention, not having their superstar player in Dame Lillard, as he has been shut down. We'll see how the Grizzlies go ahead and engage that. Do the Grizzlies continue to win? Do they take a L? It doesn't make a difference for the most part, because they're already good at the 2 seed. All they can do is potentially solidify the Denver Nuggets at the 1 seed. The aforementioned Nuggets will be facing off with the Houston Rockets. Rockets can continue to try to do their best to make a difference for their pursuit of the ping pong balls. The Chicago Bulls face off against another game with the Hawks as they look to put themselves to even get a leg up or not with the Atlanta Hawks, as that could be a game that has some implication on some movement in the lower part. But for the most part, both those teams are locked in for the play-in. The OKC Thunder face off against the Golden State Warriors. Both teams battling, although their battles are particularly different. The Thunder looking to get a little breathing room to stay in the play-in. The Warriors looking to keep the breathing room and to not even be in the play-in. A loss tonight by the Warriors would definitely put them in that contentious area to where they will drop into the play-in. And we'll see. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Utah Jazz tap in tonight. Of course, like I said, the Lakers with a win will put them ahead of the Golden State Warriors with the loss from the Warriors, and set up yet another possibility to leapfrog a team as they play the Los Angeles Clippers tomorrow night. So it's a possibility. And then last but not least, the Phoenix Suns face off against the San Antonio Spurs. That giving the Suns yet another opportunity to notch a belt. The Spurs, however, we know are already done. They're just seeding their possibility for more ping pongs and would be the Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. So all those teams face it off tonight. We will definitely see how that's going to turn out. Coach Cal, of course, speaking about the East is like Orlando may as well try to lose out and go after Wemby. So definitely plenty going on when you look at it. But now, like, let's take a little delve and talk, right? So currently, when you look at the standings after this post March Madness tournament, based on the standings before this, if you look at it before what used to be the lottery, worst records was what got you this picks. So if you tanked, you put yourself in position to get W. So if that was the case right now, the Charlotte Hornets will be the number one pick, which would most likely go after Victor Wembanyama. Number two would be the Detroit Pistons. Expectations would be they would pick up Scoot Henderson from the G League Ignite squad. At number three, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Would they go after Brandon Miller, or would Brandon Miller potentially go to the Detroit Pistons if that was the case? Brandon Miller, we all know, put in that work in Alabama, put him in, had him at a number one overall seed, but just didn't have the gumption or didn't have it left to as they lost in the Sweet 16. The Houston Rockets, taking a look at one of the Thompson brothers, Amen Thompson, a guard, adding another guard to their rotation. I don't know about that if they are in need of another guard. But again, we've had the discussion before. Does the team take the best talent on the court, or do they go after what they need at that point? Or do we go after what's the best, presumably the best talent going for the squad? Or do they keep the University of Houston forward from their city, keep him in Houston and take him, although that is the expectation from the Spurs, as Jarace Walker has already made his said he is going to go. What's good, Ricochet? What's going on, brother? What's going on? Glad to have information this morning. Of course, Portland Trailblazers come in at 6. Last 30 years, the worst record has got the number one pick only 25% of the time. And that's what I'm saying, Coach. That's exactly what. So I don't know if Charlotte is a Victor Wembanyama needed? Like, who is out there that you think fits best for Victor Wembanyama in, said, let's say the top 10 or even the top 14? Right now, the top 14, the lottery picks currently are, in no particular order, Charlotte Hornets, Detroit Pistons, Oklahoma City Thunder, the Toronto Raptors, Utah Jazz, Orlando Magic, the New York Knicks, the Orlando Magic twice, that is, the Utah Jazz, the Indiana Pacers, the Portland Trail Blazers, the Spurs, the San Antonio, Houston, Oklahoma City, and Detroit are the top 14, which I just said. Orlando has 2 possibilities in this draft of getting better. The Knicks, of course, but with the Mavs draft lost that pick, or the Mavs will be in there. So the New York Knicks moved up, and the Toronto Raptors are in a good position as a potential playoff team, still being in the lottery. But out of those teams currently, who would Victor Wembanyama fit with the best? Where is he more so needed? Where is that good fit at? And from when I look at it and see it, definitely Orlando. I think he fits. Portland probably could use him, and Houston what I think. except Jordan has failed them too many times. So bringing in Scoot, Coach Cal, are you looking at Scoot as a combo guard? It can go to the 2, or are you expecting Scoot to be the point guard? I'm very sure you probably just look at it as a combo guard for it to be a potent backcourt for or front court for with a Scoot Henderson and LaMelo Ball, or is your expectation on moving LaMelo Ball and make some other things happen? Just looking at how the rest of it go, whose names are out there. Jordan Hawkins, not bad. He said he prays he doesn't go out like Kobe White. Okay. So you said it's a combo. All right, I got you. And which that may look, and I can agree with that. But I think Victor Wembanyama doesn't work there. But like I said, out of the top 14 or the lottery picks, definitely Orlando, Portland needs a lifeline. Victor Wembanyama with Portland might be a damage. I mean, might do damage. Additionally, the Houston Rockets. And what would be interesting if it was to happen, I don't know how everyone feels about that. What about Victor Wembanyama going to Oklahoma City Thunder? Wouldn't that be crazy? Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama in the same in the OKC uniform. I wonder how would that be? How with the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey, Lou Dort, it might be some problems in Oklahoma. But again, we'll see how it goes. How the ping pong balls bounce in in-state. It'll be definitely be interesting. Definitely be interesting. But in any case, I don't think that's going to happen. But we'll get a chance to see how it all goes down in just a couple of weeks as they do the and get to find out who are in the lottery picks and then the draft to come later on in the year. MVP race, right? So as I look at it, as we go forth, continue on, this MVP race is really starting to take a different turn, as we know. Hold on, what Kyle said. Detroit could take Scoot. I really feel like the guard they lost last year from Purdue is big enough to play alongside him as a guard 1 and 2 positions. And then they still have Cunningham. He's still in the fray. So it's again, like we talked about, it always comes down to every year brings forth a new expectancy. Then the end state is at the end of this year, they're going to go back. They're going to get Cade Cunningham back. They have Weissman in the fold, which I think has been doing pretty good. Now you have Weissman, you have Marvin Bagley III. They're both there. Of course, you have Duran. He's there. They have pieces now that they've built. It's just a matter of making them work. Now they get an opportunity to add yet another piece or two or three, depending on how many picks they end up with in this year's draft, although it's only 2 rounds. But they have opportunity. And then, of course, free agency, maybe to make some moves to bring in some people or just stay young. We already see they moved Sadiq Bey, and he left. So it's Detroit might not be as bad as they've been in the current. They might be a middle of the pack or play-in type team. As we know, of course, the NBA is going to the in-tournament play-in system. How that's going to work, I'm not sure yet. I haven't completely read up on that. So it's a lot of movement and a lot of stuff going on. So Detroit potentially can make some moves. Bringing in, like you said, a player that Scoot's caliber, a big guard, combo guard. might be what the doctor ordered. So it remains to be seen. I'm getting kind of excited about seeing how people are going to be able to construct their teams and move their teams along in the next couple of days, especially when you take a look at especially looking at the simple fact of uh, how close the NBA teams are becoming, and the dominance structure is shifting from the west to the east a little bit. I'm still looking for that where every team is dialed in and every team is battling. Something similar to what we have in the West. I like to see that all across the NBA for the most part. But we'll see if it gets there. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Oh, you can make the play in and still get the lottery pick. Correct. Correct. So, like I said, that's where you're at with Toronto as well as Oklahoma City. So maybe Oklahoma City is playing possum. Just sit up and put it in a position perspective, getting the opportunity to say they was a playoff team, but still go into the play-in and see where they go from there. So good, thank you. Good point, Coach. So, like I said, playoff pictures. So, in the playoffs, I'm not playoff picture. I want to talk about the MVP race. Does it? What is your all's perspective when we're talking about the MVP race? Should it first and foremost now? If you were listening yesterday, as we briefly talked about, the new CBA has put it in perspective to now the NBA player has to have played 65 games or more in order to be considered for awards. In this particular day and age, we see a lot of injuries and things of that nature. So in this age, someone like Jokic, he would still be available because he hasn't missed that many games. He hasn't missed 20 games. But what's the thought on that? Like some people legitimately get injured. Well, I guess that don't make a difference when you think about it. Does missing 20 games remove you from being a potential all-star? I'm not all-star. All-team player, MVP player because you missed 20 games. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I just got to continue to think that. Let that marinate for a second because there's a lot in which goes into that. I could have been on a tear and got injured late in the year, but of course, if you get late injured in the year, there's other players who are behind you potentially who are making the play and can possibly jump you. So I guess it makes sense. I guess it all lines up now I think about it. But in case, let's get back to this year's run as currently, if you're looking at it from the perspective, Jokic is expected currently a front runner for the MVP, just overtaking Joel Embiid, who was the number one player last week. Of course, right behind Embiid is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Does he sit back there? Currently, Giannis is averaging 31 points, 11 rebounds, 31, 12, and 6 on the year. These points keep getting bigger and bigger. Joel Embiid averaging 33 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists on the year. And Nikola Jokic, of course, is at 25 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists for the most part. That alone, I believe, is going to get him that award for yet a third year in a row. But it's possible he might fall off. He's losing it. Well, he's averaging 9.9. So just 2 assists from being a triple double. Jason Tatum stands fast at the fourth seed. I'm in the fourth player, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists on the year, and out of nowhere, Domantas Sabonis creeps in to this top 5 with a 19 point, 12 rebounds, 7 assists average, doing damage. Of course, Luka, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Julius Randle, James Harden, and Jimmy Butler bring up the rear for the next 5. And then if you want to compete and finish it off to where you can put it in where is this or is this not potentially a NBA first, second, and third team. The next 5 players being Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, Anthony Davis, De'Aaron Fox, and Ja Morant. Does the numbers speak to a player being the NBA player, or is it an eye test? Do you look at it as like, is the numbers enough, or do you have to look at it all comprehensively? Like, where has he done? Where is his team at? In the case of Jokic, Embiid, and Giannis, are all top 3 teams in their conference. Do they make their team better? Like, clearly, of course, they make their team better, I guess you could say, because if it was just a one-man show, then there was no way in which they should be in the league with all the talent that's in the league. But then again, on the opposite side of the spectrum, if it was a one-man show and they're putting up those type of numbers and their team is a top contender, then that is definitely deserving of the player being that deserving of that award. But the output, the point output, like Joel Embiid, 33 points, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 31 points, 30 points from Jason Tatum. That is crazy. But it's coming down to it. Just 4 games remaining. Is Nikola Jokic secure, or does Joel Embiid jump him in the last waiting games without Jokic playing? I don't know if he's expected to play tonight, or if he's going to basically end up being sitting out yet another game, 4th game with a contusion, a thigh sprain. So that remains to be seen. I think I'm finna shift gears a little bit before I get ready to get up out of here. Got a couple of things to do on these people's job. So, as we know, Jalen Carter from Atlanta is the projected number 1 defensive player this year in the draft. Depending on who's picking first, as we know, Carolina is picking first. Might be. Well, we doubt that he's going to be a number 1 pick, the number 1 overall pick, but he's going to be a first-round pick. But Jalen Carter has limited his pool of people to talk to the top 10 picks in the draft, right? So if we was to go to take a top 10 teams in the draft this year by their order, the top 10 teams would line up as such. Number 1, of course, the Carolina Panthers. Number 2, the Houston Texans. Number 3, the Indianapolis Colts. At 4, the Arizona Cardinals. At 5, the Seattle Seahawks. At 6, the Detroit Lions. 7, the Las Vegas Raiders. 8, the Atlanta Falcons. 9, the Chicago Bears. And at 10, the Minnesota Vikings. That part, Cal, you hit the nail on the head. that definitely. So like I said, 10 teams in which not necessarily need quarterbacks So when you look at the first expectancy, when you look at draft, C.J. Stroud expected to go number 1 overall to the Carolina Panthers. Maybe. You still have Bryce Young, who is in there, or Anthony Richardson. So when you look at it initially, one of the first draft models that came out put Stroud, Young, and Richardson in the top 3 spots to be drafted. Carolina Panthers, Houston Texans, and the Indianapolis Colts. Definitely, through all 3 teams need quarterbacks. Then you start to move on. The Arizona Cardinals, definitely not in the need of a quarterback. The Seattle Seahawks, currently not in the need of a quarterback, but it doesn't hurt to put someone a backup, but maybe not going after that backup this early in the draft when it's not at a premium position. And then, of course, the Detroit Lions. That's not necessarily in need of a backup currently. They're doing pretty well with Goff. We just got to give him some more weapons. So no expectancy in there. After that, like I said, the next 4 being the Los Angeles Raiders, they've already went and gotten their quarterback of the future in Jimmy Garoppolo, as well as added some pieces around him at the wide receiver and tight end positions, running back position as well. Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa, being looked at the A spot with the Falcons. Falcons maybe don't need a quarterback. And then last but not least, Bijan Robinson looked at for the 9th spot, and Will Levis looked at for the 10th, going to the Minnesota Vikings. Is there necessarily a need for Will Levis for the Vikings, or is it now we're looking at replacing Kirk Cousins? Well, it remains to be seen. So those are the top 10 teams in which Jalen Carter says he will only speak to or hold interviews with as we get closer and closer to the end of the month, where the draft is going to be at. So you got the draft coming on at the end of the month. Of course, like I said before, the National Military Basketball Tournament going on at the end of the month. So there's a whole lot going on at the end of the month that's going to have a captivation. Jalen Carter now captivating with the saying that he only will speak to those 10 teams, in which in this particular mock, it has him going to the Detroit Lions as the 6th seed, becoming the 3rd defensive player off the board, which is interesting because I wonder did the situation that happened with the passing of his teammate, if that had anything to do with his drop in the rankings. Or maybe it could just be a premium of what teams need. Ideally, the first player is a corner, in which is saying that that's what Seattle needs, a corner. I'm sorry, when I'm looking, I just thought about something. I wanted to see what they had the 49ers picking. So that could be a possibility. So it's a lot not too much going on, of course. When you look at sports, we know the Major League Baseball season started, of course. A couple of games last night. Pittsburgh Pirates and the Boston Red Sox faced off. Pittsburgh Pirates got the W 7-6. Atlanta Braves took on the St. Louis Cardinals. Cardinals didn't have enough runs to equal a W. Braves get the win 8-4. The Detroit Pistons face off against the Houston Astros, and the Astros fall yet again in extra innings by the score of 7-6. The Los Angeles Angels matched up with the Seattle Mariners. Angels get the W 7-3. The Arizona Diamondbacks move their series on to San Diego, with the Padres getting the victory by a score of 5-4. And last but not least, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Colorado Rockies faced off last night. The Dodgers taking all aggression out on the Rockies last night by the score of 13-4. Of course, you know what I'm saying? It's a long season, plenty of games to be played. But for now, I'm going to get up out of here so I can go ahead and take care of some business. I look forward and greatly appreciate y'all rocking with us this morning. I will be, of course, tapping in tomorrow with the latest and maybe a little more. If not, of course, we'll know and maybe move it on. But I greatly appreciate y'all being here this morning. Look forward to talking to y'all tomorrow. It's another day. Enjoy y'all week. Be safe out there. This is your boy